my favorite modules because this is literally what helped me get to where I'm at as a trader. And I think it's the foundation of everything, not just in trading, but in life too. Trends are, wow, they hold a deep space in my heart, to be honest. Trends are everything. Not just in trading, like I just said, but in life too. Because of trends, I've been able to build a company, build a career as a trader, and even build my own character along the way. Trends are something that I wish a tutor, or teacher, or a mentor would have taught me in the very beginning. When we don't recognize or pay attention to trends in life and in trading, we're basically just looking at what we have in front of us. And what we have in front of us doesn't necessarily mean or doesn't necessarily define everything in life or in the market. We have to be able to develop an eye for the macro. We have to be able to identify or to look, pay attention to the bigger picture in everything we do. So my approach to trading has always been a very psychological approach, not necessarily a super entirely technical approach. You know, I believe there's a market sentiment. The market has feelings because it moves based on human behavior and human produced news and patterns and whatever we do and reflect in the market. We are responsible and we are human beings, so we have feelings and we are not perfect. And so my approach has always been having that factor in consideration. And you can see a lot in the trend, so much, and it can make you so powerful as an investor. You want to be able to do two things in life. Identify the end of a trend or the start of one. Nothing else. If you don't know how to identify the end of a trend, you might get in when it's already ending and waste your time. And if you're not able to identify the start of a trend, you might enter too late and waste your time. You might not even make it in life in general, just because you don't have an eye for the macro. See, Forex is very simple. The market and the candlesticks can only go up or go down. And even though it's so simple, we fail to keep it simple inside of our heads and overcomplicate it with emotions. Forex, in my beginnings, was full of emotions. And when I was looking at it, probably the way that you're doing now, I used to look at it this way. Those were the days of me taking my account from $600 to $4,000. And in life, we do the same thing. We are looking at our current problem, current financial situation, current status, current whatever that we have in front of us. But we fail to do this in life and in the market and see that there is a big picture and what you're going through might be the end of a trend and the start of a new one. And so let's go deep into trends. Let's break everything apart and break it into pieces and put it together again. And I promise you, you could literally forget about any other thing in this course and just watch this module. Watch price action and watch consolidation or support resistance, and you're set. You need nothing else to be successful in this market. Because the market, candles can only what? Go up. As you can see here, it can only go up or it can only go down. And man, like, you cannot even feel how excited and happy I feel to share this with you, because I really wanted to make it in life. I really wanted to. And as a Latino, you know, born and raised in Puerto Rico, and the beliefs, remember when we talked about the system and all the stuff that we have around us, I felt stuck for many years. But I genuinely, in my heart, I wanted to make it. I wanted to have success. And back at the moment where I discovered Forex, I really just wanted it to help my mom. And I wanted it for me to like feel some sort of pride, like I had done something good in my life. And I discovered Forex, and I understood how big it was. I fell in love with the possibility, right? I remember taking notes, and I was looking for something that could allow me to not have a limit, do it from wherever, not have to go to college because I dropped out of college, not dependent on my age, my resources. And wow, when I looked at this thing, you gotta understand the reason why, like, the spirit of this company, I can picture it in that emotion I felt the first day I saw this. If I can put it inside of a capsule, it would be that emotion, the emotion of possibility, of knowing that there is a door to make dreams come true. And even though I felt that, and it was like if God had given me something, and I could not probably understand entirely what it meant. I felt like something special was in my hands. And I started taking every course, probably like you've done so far. And it was complicated at first. There was a lot of concepts, a lot of videos, a lot of things, a lot of indicators, a lot of distractions. And man, I can proudly say that this came to me probably from heaven. It might sound cliche, whatever, but I felt it like that. You cannot take that experience from me because it's what I lived. But I can tell you that none of this garbage that I heard worked. It worked to get me to $4,000, and then I lost it in one day, blah, blah, blah. Then I quit for 3 weeks. I didn't go through that part. And I remember one night I was eating pizza and drinking a beer. I went back home, sat down in front of the charts, and I was just looking, because when you're looking at this thing, you're seeing your dream. You're not seeing candles. You're seeing your dream. You want this to work. I had it like that in my mind. I was like, if I could just make this thing work, if I could just make it work, that's enough. I know where I'm going to and how much I'm going to be worth in 5-10 years, and what I'm going to do for not just my family, but everybody, including you that is watching this video right now. And I sat down and I was just looking and looking and looking. And I noticed something. I was looking at the candles. Back then I didn't have the eye I have today. And I noticed that every time candles, like there will be candles going up, suddenly it would drop, and it would go up again, and then it would drop, and then it would go up again. And it sounds stupid, right? But listen to this part. I noticed that every time that it would go down, like here, and it would go up again, it would never meet or touch the previous high or the previous low. I didn't know that was the whole point of a trend. I just thought it was incredible that if I used this to my advantage, I could enter in places where the next high or the next low wouldn't touch the previous one, and I would make money consistently. And I noticed, because I was looking at it and I was just blown away by this discovery, that when it wasn't going up, it was doing it the other way around. And if not, it would stay still. And it would just switch from being up and switch from being down. And this, in the middle of my ignorance back then, it changed, literally, it changed my life forever. And I'm being so cautious sharing this story with you because I just need you to understand the importance of being good at identifying trends and just learning them like the back of your palm. So, I was doing binary trading, and I needed to be right. Because when you do binary trading, you have a call and you have a put. So if you enter here and you do a call and you put it to expire in 10 minutes, you make 70% of whatever you risked in 10 minutes. All it has to do is that if I enter at 107, it has to be at 108 or more in the next 10 minutes. So you can't imagine how huge this discovery was for me, because I felt like I cracked the system, this was the biggest discovery on planet Earth in my life. I felt like I was a genius. And so you can guess what I started doing. I started identifying these little retracements that now I know they're called pullbacks or corrections. But back then, I didn't know how to call them. It was just a thing that was going down, right? And I started identifying them, and then every time it would match that line that you're seeing in the drawing. When it would go down like this, I would make a call here and put it to expire in 10 minutes because I knew it was going to continue like it did in the past. And that, my friend, is what got me into my first 6 figures. And life was very exciting. It was very weird. I remember that I would go out in the morning and treat myself a very good set of pancakes at Dennis. And it would feel like life was good. And it was just me and the pancakes. But it felt so good because I didn't have, back then, I starved to death. I was exchanging my talent in piano at church to get a lunch. You know, while I'm recording this, I have one of my good friends from a very long time, and he knows the story is true. Like, because I used to sleep on the floor of his barbershop when I used to live in my car, and I just wanted to switch it up a little bit. And life was just so different. And this, to me, it gave me, like, everything that I was looking for. Trends. And still to this day, I'm excited every time I find a very good established trend because it means I'm going to make money. And it goes with life as well. When I started selling courses, I didn't even know courses were going to be a thing. I just did it because 3 friends asked me, and I said no for a while, and then they kept insisting, and I said yes. And I went to Burger King, and I sold the course for $25. Simple. And then they started making money with this little thing. Somehow they got it. They understood it. They got passionate about it, started making money. And now, a few years later, you can see where we're at. Jetstreet has created 32 millionaires, hundreds of people in the 6 figures. We have 24,000 students and counting actively, impacted millions of people. And now we are transforming your life, one life at a time. And so, whenever we teach you everything, I need you to apply to this canvas, the black canvas. The market can only go down, or it can only go up. Nothing else. And if it doesn't do that, it's thinking about it in the middle, not doing anything. This is considered a trend, and this too. When you go to the chart, it's going to look like this. And the reason why this line is called a trend line is because it is a trend line for a trend. And you draw a trend line, and you can see clearly there that there is an inclination going down. And so that is a downtrend. And if I release this trend line and I go and I take this other line right here, but you have to have the chart like this. You can't be zooming in, right? Like if you don't see anything and you just want to see each candle at once, like it doesn't work like that. You got to zoom out and see the macro. Remember the first part of this module? The macro. And so now if I throw this line right here, you see this is an uptrend. And as you can see, you're going to have parts where that inclination is not going to be as pretty. This is called symmetry. And I look for symmetry in the market, right? Like if your nose was on your forehead and your eyes were where your mouth is, you wouldn't look normal, right? You wouldn't have face symmetry. Same with the body. If my hand was in the middle of my stomach, sticking out right like that, it would be weird, right? And the market is the same. The better the symmetry, the better your trading idea is going to be. So we keep going to the past, and if we change this to a day, you're going to notice there are huge trends happening all throughout the year. You see? Look at this. Look at this trend. Look at this thing. Look at that. 30th of May of 2018. It was going down solidly like there was no freaking tomorrow until 2020. Euro USD. The euro was dropping consistently on a downtrend. Perfect symmetrical downtrend for 2 solid years until COVID hit. Right? It's interesting how it literally turned around during COVID. But it was going down perfect. Perfect. And so if you look at it here too, this is a massive downtrend. This is a massive uptrend that lasted 1 year going up. And the reason why this is your best friend is because if you enter here and it trends down, all this space right here, this is all profit fund zone. And literally, you're always going to be far away from your stop loss. You're never going to touch it. That's the whole point. And literally, everybody is trading with you. Why would you want to go against the tide? Have you ever surfed against a wave successfully? I don't think so. Have you ever been in the middle of a Chinese crowd and spoken Spanish or spoken Brazilian, Portuguese, whatever, and somebody understood you there? No, because the mass controls the trend. It's not the other way around. And so every time you're trading, I want you to think, even if you're trading at 1 hour or you're trading at 4 hours, I want you to be conscious if the trend in major time frames is in your favor. Because these bigger time frames are the ones that institutional trading companies and companies in general in the stock market that are trading Forex and investing in Forex, and banks and hedge funds, they are analyzing not micro time frames, but they're looking at the macro of where the economy is heading, and they look at daily, weekly, yearly chart patterns. All right? And so you're participating, looking at this little thing you want to do in a day, you're thinking about your little profit that day. Well, pay attention to the big trend, because you might be in a smaller time frame that is going up. But like I said in the past, when I was talking about time frames, you could have a trend inside of a trend that doesn't necessarily match the trend overall. And so you want to always be conscious of where is the daily heading, where is the weekly heading, where is the monthly, how are they all going down? Like right now you can see here, the market was trending down. And if you were looking at weekly, the market was always also going down. And so if you were buying in the hourly chart because you saw an uptrend, then that's your problem if you lost. You would have been better off selling, because the overall trend was telling you to sell and find an opportunity to sell inside of the macro. And so that's, I, again, didn't know all those things when I started trading trends. But I learned it along the way, and I'm sharing it with you now. And so you can trade against the trend, scalping. But we'll get to that later, because it's a more pro movement and approach. So how do you literally identify that a trend is going to change? Well, the same way that you identify that a person is being different and weird and is hiding something, you study the characteristics of a person, right? Or you study the attributes of a person. You study the things that form a person, right? And same with the trend. What are the elements that form a trend? It's easy. So for a downtrend, it's going to be lower lows and it's going to be lower highs. Whenever there's two or more of these present, you're in the middle of a downtrend. I'm going to show you. Market was not clear there, consolidation zone, and then there was a breakout, and then it started to go down like that. And so, as you can see here, you have a peak right here. It's a low. It's a lower peak than the previous one where it was. And then there is a lower high, meaning this was the last high zone, and when it retraced back, it didn't go to where it was before. And then boom, you have a lower low here and another lower high, and it just keeps going like that, like if it was a zigzag or if it was a Z with an inclination. If you go to the graphic right here, to the chart, you're gonna see, if I switch to daily, you're gonna see this very cool, and literally what I meant. Let's see, right here. As you can see here, the market was going up, right? The market was going up, and it had this was a higher high than the previous one. Okay. And then this was another peak that was higher than that one. And then this is another one that was higher than this one. And then this is very interesting because this is a higher low. We're looking at an uptrend. We're going to discuss that now, a higher low. And this is another higher low because it went down a little bit here. But now look at this thing, it's so interesting. It does a lower low, right? But what did I tell you in the beginning or a few minutes ago? That you need 2 or more of these elements, so preferably 3 present for you to confirm a trend change. This is our lower low. And so what you're expecting now to know, like, not immediately when you get one element of a downtrend in the middle of an uptrend, it means that you don't do it immediately. It doesn't mean that you're gonna, now there's a trend change, right? So you wait when you're looking at trends. But this is the way that you know there's an uptrend, because you have higher peaks than the previous ones. And you have higher pullbacks than the previous ones. It's like escalating up, right? And so the market would get to a point where it's going to stop and it's going to consolidate, and then it's going to either continue going in the same direction or it's going to turn around and it's going to give you the signals that I'm teaching you now. So it does a lower low, and then suddenly it goes all the way up here. Goes all the way up here, forming a new higher high. And that's how, if you would have entered there to change the trend, you would have been screwed. And so then it consolidated like that. So as you can see, during all this time, the market has consolidated after it went up for a while. Like you know it's a consolidation and you're not in the middle of a trend anymore, because the market suddenly starts making a wall to the right side. And you can see it right here, and you can draw like a square, and you can mark the points where it's literally meeting over and over again, just bouncing in between that, like inside of that square. And then another thing, during all that time, you notice too that it was above the 200 EMA, which is an EMA that is commonly used by institutional traders and hedge funds. So even though we're not paying attention to that all the time, it does hold a lot of weight. So it's super interesting that right when it literally changes the trend, it crosses, it goes through the 200 EMA with such a strength. And so one of the clear signals you're going to get of a trend change usually is that you're going to get a consolidation. You got to think about this. If a person has behaved a certain way for a very long time, and suddenly they're going to do something that they're not used to doing, they're going to think about it. And the same happens in the market. You don't go from being introvert to being an extrovert in 1 second. It takes time. And for some people, it might not even happen ever. And the same happens in the market. So it was going up for a whole year. Do you think that just instantly it's going to drop? Like, we're not talking about Brexit. We're talking about a normal currency under normal circumstances. And so it took a while to think about it, and you saw it reflected by not having any lower lows or higher highs, just a solid wall moving to the right side. And then, boom, it starts dropping out of the box. and it crosses the 200 EMA and shows you a clear, super defined and symmetrical new lower low. But still, we're still in an uptrend. We're collecting data. And we're like, there's something there, but it doesn't mean that it's solid. And then it goes up and it gives you a lower high. And then it goes straight down, lower than the previous lower low. And that is officially when you know that the market is changing, has already changed the trend. So in the middle of this trend change, for example, I would have done something that I'm going to teach you later, where I would have identified this trend change and I would have thrown a line at the last zone of activity and consolidation right before the swing to the lower low. And what do you think I'm expecting now? Since a downtrend would be a lower high and I'm exiting a lower low, we're going to a next lower high. If I'm trading a downtrend, I would like to enter after a lower high because it would mean that I'm literally there. And there are I'm right at the point where it's never gonna go back again because it's gonna keep going down and down and down. Even if it goes up, it's not gonna touch the entry price where I entered. And that is exactly why it's important to to learn how to trade trends. You don't trade indicators. You don't trade signals. You don't trade communities, telegrams, slacks. You don't trade that. You trade based on your own judgment about the market, and you do it by learning its behaviors. And it's not hard. You just need to pay attention to the trends. That's it. You want to catch a trend early enough for you to ride it like a rock star in a wave. You know, that's what you want to do. And so for the uptrend, it's the total opposite. It's like this. So you're going to have higher highs and you're going to have higher lows. And if you're trading an uptrend, where do you think you want to enter? Right after a higher low. Because then your trade is going to go like this. It's going to retrace a little bit. You're going to lose a little bit of equity here, but it's never going to go back to your entry point. And then it's going to continue going up, and you're still in the profit, and it goes down again, but it doesn't even go down to where it went before. And it's a beautiful trade because you're learning how to trade trends. And so it goes like that, and I literally will teach you later how to put your stop loss and your take profit in the middle of a trend. And it literally just, you repeat that pattern. Key things to remember right here. Always trade with the trend. Always surf with the wave, not against it. A trend change will give you 3 signals, whether that is LL, LH, and LL again, and then you're going to enter in the new LH, or that could be HH, HL, and HH again, and you're going to enter in the next HL to continue the trend, like if you were like pulling back and then releasing. And you could always use 200 EMA as reference, right? And third thing you got to remember, market always goes up or down. If you remember this, to always trade with the trend, that a trend will give you 3 signals before it changes. And you practice and remember them. Gives you 1, wait. Patience is a virtue. Patience pays. It pays very well. And that you could use the 200 EMA to back that up too. And that you remember, third, that the market could only go up and could only go down. If you're losing money because the trend turned against you and you already confirmed it with the point number 2, it's of no use that you hold on to that losing trade. It's not going to do any well. You can just close it and start a new trading idea and go with the new trend. All right? You don't want to be that guy that's holding on to a drawdown for 12 months straight when you could have just made your money back and make profit. All right? With the new analysis. I hope this helped you, and the first half of the video also inspired you on why it's so important and how it changed my life. And if you take it seriously, it will change your life as well. And this blends and it goes perfect with the rest of the things that you're going to be learning. Respect the trends and they will be a lot of fun to you. They will take care of you and take you to your destiny. All right? See you in the next module.